Hey, hey, welcome back to Vitamin C. Vitamin C stands for celebration and community, and it is absolutely a play on words on the whole idea of vitamin C that boosts your immunity against germs, right? And the community and celebration that we engage in during this time is what boosts our immunity against discouragement and complacency. And we're very intentional about getting our vitamin C, or at least we should be in the traditional sense of the word, and we're also being intentional about getting our vitamin C in the lifestyle sense of the word, right? So I want to welcome you guys back, whether you are watching this as a recording, right? Welcome, Tim. Thank you for joining us. So every week we dive into this beautiful resource, the Habits of Health Life book, right? Um, there are two parts to the Habits of Health system, right? There is the Habits of Health book, and there is the life book. The life book, it serves kind of like a guided journal where you get to do some self-reflection and it's guided. And this actually is kind of like a textbook. And when we get together and we dive into it, I think it's just a lot more fun to dissect everything that's going on. And this week, we are diving into element 13, which happens to be tracking your journey to a healthy weight and beyond. So, Tim, when you think of the word tracking, what emotions get stirred up for you when it comes to tracking?
I think for me, it's just more work.
Dread, that's the
It's
emotion that comes up.
a little bit, yeah, a little bit.
I hear you. That's definitely one of the habits that I'm have not mastered. The idea of
Me either.
consistently tracking. But this is what's kind of ironic, but about this conversation you and I are having is that you and I happen to be nurses. Those that are watching this later may not be nurses, but what is something that we're taught as nurses about what gets documented?
So if it's not written, it didn't happen.
Hmm. Have you noticed that to be the truth or the case, or does it apply to personal health in any way?
I think that in this journey, I've learned that yes, it does apply because when you do write something down, you're declaring it. It's visible, it's tangible, it's a reminder, and you make the decision through. You always have that to that moment when to do it. It's right in front of your face. You put it down on paper. That was action for me. If I got a straw follow, it works.
So your sound is coming in and out. Can you hear me okay, Tim?
Yeah.
I think I
Yep.
got the general gist of what you were saying before, that when you write it down, it holds your foot to the fire. Is that what you were talking about?
I count 100%.
Yeah. Welcome, Heather. We are diving into element 13 and we're talking about tracking. And I'm curious to hear from you when you think about tracking, what emotion comes up? The word tracking is said and emotions come up. What emotion comes up?
Ah, that's a tough one. Bittersweet. uh, I think about it being accountable, something I need to do. Stress response. What I think I get to do and how it me down and just is a of where I am, realize where I need to go. I'm next, so it can be. But I would say probably in general, I am a little more resistant, but I'm working on that.
So I really appreciate your transparency because I am also resistant to tracking. So all three of us are here, not from a place of perfection, but from a place of progress, right? And we're
Right.
diving into this element to talk a little bit about the why. Why should we care? And I think that not only does tracking hold my foot to the fire, but it also kind of, I guess it does. It holds your foot to the fire. It keeps you honest. And so sometimes I don't want to be honest, if I'm going to be honest, right? And so learning to be honest with myself and write it down is definitely a habit of success. And I one of the things that I think about is that tracking is not about like surveillance, because that feels icky to me, but it is about self-awareness. And self-awareness is definitely something that I am into. I want to become self-aware, right? And we talk about being mindful, right? And we talk about conscious leadership. That's the mindfulness piece. That's the awareness. And when we write things down, we can become more aware. Because what we know is that what gets measured improves. What gets measured improves. And when we look backward, it helps us move forward. If we look backward with the sense, with the intention of learning, right? And I like to think of tracking as like turning the lights on. Imagine going through your entire day without having the lights on. That's what self-awareness is like. And so when we track, we turn the lights on. So what happens when we don't track?
The lights are out.
The lights are out. So what happens to our goals? What happens to our intentions? I mean, have you had any experiences with that in your journey?
Oh my goodness, yeah. I think that it again, one of the things that's important is visuals for me. So when I put this on my phone, that keeps me grounded because it's a reminder. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that's tangible that brings me back to that moment and it makes me understand, this is why I started to do this. The progress reinforces the fact that I just did this. That and I see it continuing, and we see that in habit loops. We see that in all the things that Dr. A outlines, is that there's really a purpose to giving us that we took the time out to say, I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to measure from this point to the point that I put in the future. I haven't achieved that yet, but I need to continue doing something. And if I'm in the dark with that, then I shut the lights out.
Yeah. So element 13 happens on page 250-ish or so and beyond. Oh, were you going to say something, Heather?
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about tracking. And like I said, I'm kind of resistant to it. But it also comes to making me realize that what is it Dr. A or Dan Bell that says your current reality is an acquired taste? And I was just talking to somebody recently about money and how it's so easy, the nickels and dimes, like you spend a lot of money. And we were discussing getting a little notebook and just tracking what you're spending. And it just helps to give you a bigger view of where you need to fine tune things, even in your health journey. But still, I can be resistant. So it really can be that positive when you do it. Um, so us talking about this just reminds me like it's the same in any area of your life, whether it's finances or your physical health or even in relationships, like if you're tracking, like, am I going out on date nights or am I doing this or am I spending time with my kids? Knowing where you are helps you to see where you could improve or just tweak things a little.
Once again, when you turn on the lights, you can see if your hair is out of place or if you've
Yeah.
got like a stain on your face, right? When I was painting my kitchen cabinets, I invariably would go out with like paint all over my arms, right? Because I don't necessarily look at the backside of my arm when I look in the mirror, but then I became intentional about it, right? And you have to become intentional about the things that you want to improve. And so I want us to take a look and see, because in the life book, we have all the resources that we need, including the logs. And on page 255, we've got the logging of healthy eating and hydration. And what is it that you guys notice about this log? If you go on page 255, anything stand out to you about this log, about what we're tracking? We've got healthy fats, hunger level, cravings. Why would you want to track your hunger level and your cravings?
There's certain things that we track. If we look back and we review when those times where we went took a side trip, it's important to realize what the conditions were when we did it. Like what was banging on the door of our brain to say, I need you to go dark now.
Hmm. So what I love how you say lots of puns over here, right? I need you to go dark. We want to keep the lights on, and our brain sometimes just wants to go dark. And so what was going on when you decided you wanted to turn off the lights, right? So, what's a good example? Maybe you'll notice that you're beginning to have cravings around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So, that'd be interesting to find out, what have you been eating for the rest of the day, right? Or maybe you're noticing that the cravings happen late at night. Have you guys noticed cravings at any particular time of the day or hunger at any specific time of the day?
I won't say I know them specifically at the time of day, but one thing I've really made me think of you and I string cheese conversation years ago is that sometimes it's situational. And so sometimes when things get stressful, let's just say it's 3 o'clock. My kids are coming home, everything's going crazy. My stress levels go, if I'm not very aware of something, maybe it's a healthy is it time for me to be eating?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to be aware of conversation we have has helped me about setting myself up for and being ready. How do I prepare for this? How do I work on my thoughts so I don't eat from a stress response?
I love that.
So I
And
don't know exactly what you're talking about, but it is in some respects.
it is. It is. What I love about this log is that we're not talking about just logging what you eat and how much and what time. We're talking about how are you feeling around that time, right? Are you hungry? Are you having cravings? What's going on? And then when we move on to the next one, which is the habits of motion, here's what's pretty cool. It's not just talking about the activity level. It's also talking about like, did you do non-exercise activities, right? So you're not just counting like, I did a 30-minute workout today. It's, did you take the stairs? Did you park further away? Did you wash the dishes by hand? That type of thing, right? And what about our energy? Why would we want to know about energy? Do you see that on there on
If
page
you
256? So it's not just
there's
about what you're
times,
doing. I'm sorry, Tim, go ahead.
sorry. No, I was answering your question.
Go for it.
You
Go for
asked
it.
that you asked when, and I'm saying, well, you learn to listen to your body. You really do. And there's certain times when you're low at a lower energy level. Like I'll give you for instance, last night coming out of the gym, I had no parking spaces. This place is a zoo. At 7 o'clock at night, it's a zoo, and there's no parking. So the only parking was way in the back, and I'm like, whatever. I went in the back and I parked. That didn't deter me from still going in and doing what I needed to do. Now, when I got done coming out, it was leg night, so I didn't feel real great. Hello. Okay. But I still understood how my energy levels were affected, not necessarily by the extra walking that I did, because I did extra walking too at work. So you learn to listen to what your body is giving you, and you learn to know, am I pushing the envelope right now? Am I going beyond what I should be doing? I noticed that in the gym, there's times when I'll be running and I'll feel great, but I need to mix it up a little bit because I don't feel good. And maybe I'm losing my energy, I'm losing my edge. When I'm like that, my threshold is definitely lower for making good decisions.
Yes. And that's exactly what I was going to mention is that if we can keep track for a consistent period of time of all of these things, we might start noticing that the cravings, the hunger, because remember, more often than not, we don't fall off the horse because we planned to fall off the horse. We fall off the horse because we had the cravings, because we didn't have energy, because we were hungry. Okay, those are the things. So if we can start noticing patterns surrounding those things, we can be proactive and we can set ourselves up for success, which is actually what we're all about, right? Is to set ourselves up for success. And we're trying to build rhythms. We're being intentional about looking at the backside of our arms to make sure that we're not walking out with paint all over ourselves, right? And that we are moving towards what we want. And another thing that he measures here in this habits of motion and habits of sleep is sleep. Have you ever noticed that you don't make the kind of decisions you might want to make when you don't get enough sleep?
Element 19 kills me, man.
Were you going
I
to say
suck
something? Oh,
at it. I suck at it so bad. I can't get my wrap my head around it. And I know what it is. It's my dopamine. It really is.
Oh,
And you can know it. And this is part of what we're talking about is you can know it, but actually taking action, oh, take and why things aren't. There's reasons.
When we log, it makes it easier for us to find out those reasons. And it makes
Right.
it easier for us to keep, avoid saying, well, this is not working. Well, we can actually point, we can find out exactly what's not working because the lights go on. Now, another thing that I love about as well, in the healthy mind, we're not just talking about the things we do, we're talking about the things that we think. Remember that this entire program is about becoming the dominant force in your life, right? It's about learning to take ownership over your life, ownership over your goals, regardless of what's going on in life. And I love that Dr. A has put this into a journal for us, right? Now, all of these journal pages are available online, but a lot of it can be done also on your Optavia app. They're they're growing that app by leaps and bounds, and most of these things that we're talking about can be tracked right into your app. So you don't need to print out a piece of paper. You don't need to kill any trees, right? Now, let me ask you guys this. Have you noticed a difference in how well you do when you have quiet time, when you have time for meditation, when you have time for when you make time to feed your mind? Have you noticed a difference in your output when you change your input? Yeah. And so that's what all of this is about. I know that for myself, I'm just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Thing is that I don't do it, right? And so it's not because I don't know what to do. It's because of all these other things that I don't want to do, right? I don't want to do the journaling. I don't want to do the because it's not part of my routine. And we talk about vitamin C being celebration and community. In community, we get to say, guess what? This is what makes it work. So whether we like to do it or not, whether it's the most fun thing to do it or not, we want to see the results, so let's do it. Have we ever made a challenge to track? I don't know that we have. Or maybe it's been part of challenges to track, right? But it's not the challenge to track. And maybe that's something that we might need to do is to create some kind of challenge to track the different areas. Heather, were you going to say something?
well, it was a little bit ago when you were talking about feeding like your mind and kind of plugging in. I know I have really been trying to be intentional about getting on at least one or two win calls a week. And the nice thing is it's at 9 a.m. Central Time. So it really helps me to plug in. And even after coaching almost, what, 7 years? 7 years, it just tweaks or mindset shifts that I can have on some of those calls. And it makes a difference in my day.
Yes. Yes. And I read this the other day that progress lives in patterns. And we can pick up our patterns when we journal, when we log, when we keep a tracker of some kind. Heather, you were talking about keeping track of our spending. We know that that's a habit of healthy finances, right? Is to have a budget and to keep track of what you're spending. Well, same thing applies to our healthy body, but not just in terms of calories in and calories out, not just in times turn in not just in terms of how much exercise you do, right? How much time you spend, how many reps you do, but really, what is it that drives it behind it? The gratitude, the mindset, all of that. All of that is key. And if it's not written, if you didn't write it, it didn't get done, right? And so today, as we dive into our affirmations, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Do you guys have any other final thoughts in terms of journaling? Anything that you've learned, whether in your own personal journey or in coaching others, that you have found useful surrounding the idea of tracking?
I think, oop, go ahead, Heather.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I think that it's like any have, if you have a disdain for it, if you don't, you're not as apt to do it. But when you doing it, you can move beyond that dis And I'm challenged with that, like on the I'm still a work in progress with it, but I something that what we've done here and what Dr. in this system is he's kind of given us the opportunity to identify. If you can identify it, that's a form of tracking.
Yeah.
It really is. Because if different or unconscious to it, just continues to go on. See is the end consequence of not. But when you actually buy it, that's where it's just moving to that next. Actually, write it down. A real solid goal, a real solid reflection of what you've done, because you need to give yourself a little bit of praise every now and again. You did good. You're here. Like people here showed up. They're here. And that's something to be that's praiseworthy.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
wanted to move forward in your journey, right? So you show up.
This is a piece that, like you said, that our attitude towards it can shift. And it's not, I don't think it's by any chance that all three of us had a feeling when we talked about tracking, right? None of us really are excited about it, but it is an area where we can improve. We can shift that perspective. Um, but we can, if we feel stuck, this is an area that will tell us why, is when we track.
It's like a barometer,
Yeah, that's what
and
it
you can
is.
see. You're not in the dark. You're in the light shining on it. And you get to
Exactly.
see your patterns and your habits so you can readjust those.
Exactly. Exactly. So, with that said, I'm going to invite you guys to get comfortable so we can dive into our mindset piece of things where we're going to relax a little bit, take those slow, deep breaths so we can turn on the part of our brain that allows us to reprogram it. Okay. And so, I want you to relax, get comfortable, maybe with your feet on the ground or however is most comfortable for you, with your hands resting on your laps. And if you want to close your eyes or kind of soften your gaze, looking a little bit lower, we're going to go ahead and take a couple of slow, deep breaths. And actually, today, it's not just going to be a slow, deep breath. I want you to take a slow, deep breath in, and then I want you to like sigh really hard and go, okay? So we're going to go, just blow it out.
Y'all better turn the volume down. Just saying.
I just went mute.
Laughter is good too. It turns on the brain too. Okay. So this is all good. But I want you to take two of those cleansing breaths. Okay. Like take that deep breath in and blow it out. And then one more time. And then just slow, deep breaths. Slow, deep breaths. I track with curiosity, not criticism. My journey is information, not judgment. Awareness is a gift I give myself. When I notice, I can nurture. Small patterns create powerful progress. Today's choices shape tomorrow's strength. I honor my journey by paying attention to it. Every check in builds confidence. Progress is not perfection. Progress is presence. I show up, I observe, I grow. My habits do not define my worth, they reveal my direction. I listen to my body with grace and wisdom. Hunger, energy, and rest are guides, not enemies. Tracking helps me see the truth of my growth. I celebrate patterns, not just outcomes. I'm learning to lead myself well. Awareness strengthens my ownership. I'm building a life that supports who I am becoming. Each day I notice, I move forward. You can go ahead and open your eyes now. And I'm going to invite you to message your coach and let them know what it is that you're going to be tracking this week to become more mindful and turn the light on your success. It's not turning the light on your failures or your flaws or your, challenges. It's about turning the lights on where you want to go. And that's really what we're all about, is to help you get to where you want to go. And so with that, you guys, if you want to take yourselves off of mute, I want to wish you a good night.
Have a great week, guys.
Good night,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.